Hello, how are you doing today? Welcome to another session of Diego's Fine Art Adventures. How are you doing there? So we're going to be an interesting segment. I'm going to give away some tips as to how I can produce paper mache artworks. This is one of the paper mache hearts that I am producing right now. It has been covered with tin foil, and after I did cover with tin foil, I did scrape it up quite a bit with a number of different tools. I did go through the tin foil with some water and a little bit of Indian ink. See this Indian ink right here? There you go. What this will do is it further enhances all those creases and breaks that are in the aluminum foil. Hopefully you can see all that. It enhances it. It makes it look like a piece of metal, like a piece of old rusted tin or even a silver. Actually, I'll give you a nice close-up of that. See that? That was done after I had rubbed in some ink and water with applied with a brush and sort of rubbed it in, and that's all we got. So we have a heart which appears to have metal tapped around it here and there, and also other objects and that sort of stuff. It gives it an interesting texture. Now, another texture that I have added, and this is a sort of a little bit of a secret, I don't disclose to everybody, but since you're my audience, I'll tell you people how to do it. Notice there's these other textures I have on certain areas of this heart shape, and they seem to be raised just a tiny bit. There also seems to be figures or symbols or all sorts of letters and all sorts of different things that have been buried into these, I guess it's not crevices, but sectional areas of this heart. There we are. I did this through, there's 2 or 3 different ways you can do it. One is through just getting just putty, even painter's putty will do, and filling it in very carefully in the little square areas or little areas that you may want. Letting it dry a little bit and then making a texture onto that surface. For this particular effect, what it is, I got, it's called paper clay, and rolled it out very, very thinly in certain areas, adhered it onto the heart areas that I wanted, and then later on came back and put stamp forms and other textures inside the clay. And at the end of it, I'll also make it look like metal. What I'll do with that, those particular areas that I'm going to paint them red as an underpainting, and then on top of that, what I'll do, I'll add gold leaf, even silver leaf. So what I'm going to do today right now is I'm going to take out my water. Here's my trusty brush. I'm going to use a smaller flat brush. This particular work. There I am, sort of fixing that up. I'm going to sort of paint in the clay areas that I've adhered to this mat, not this mask, but this heart shape. Of course, this is an underpainting. That's all that it is. On top of this red is going to be a gold leaf, or even a silver leaf, or even a bronze leaf, depending on how creative I feel like in a given day. As you notice, it's becoming more and more interesting. At least the heart shape, I believe, is becoming more interesting with all the shapes and forms that I am working into the heart area. It gives it more depth and meaning, and makes a more interesting story visually, I think. So. There we are, sort of painting this area here. Very carefully painting within the parameters of the clay. By the time I'm done working with the clay, you won't be able to even notice that it is even clay at all. It'd be worked over after I place the gold leaf. You can't even tell without it's clay or metal or anything else. Won't be able to tell at all. Right. There we go. Sort of painting right along, and I'm mixing the paint, at least this is acrylic-based paint, with lots of water because I want it to be a little bit thinner. It's not quite like a watercolor, but it's a little bit thinner in terms of its in its appearance. Actually, I'll be adding a little more of this a little later on to some areas of this metal shape to make it even look a little bit like it's been rusted in certain places. Of course, that's all an illusion. It has not been rusted. It isn't even really metal at all. It's some tin foil with a little bit of metal, and a paper mache is all that it is, but it'll appear to be a piece of metal that has been twisted into a heart, which is interesting enough in its concept, and it's certainly interesting in terms of its being a metaphor. So there we are, right here on the part. You can see me do this. There we go. be fairly careful with my painting of these areas. I don't want to go too much over the metal-like areas at all. So I want it to appear to be significant and stand out a little bit. So there we go. So fill that in. Almost have all of our areas. If it drips a little bit, that's really nice. Maybe I'll leave that in. I don't know. So that's what we're doing. Hopefully, it's give you a little bit better view of what I'm doing right there. And we're gonna close the layer right here in the back. There you go. Okay, with that, when I clean off, here's my brush. I'm going to clean off my brush as well as I can right now. With water, you can sort of hear that. I change the water about once a month or so. It's not necessary to change it every time. As long as it's changed periodically and the brush gets clear of any and all acrylic-based paint is most important. I clean off that brush. There you go. I believe I use a flat number. There's no number. It's just a small flat brush I used. And this is really completed. At least that's completed as it is right now. So the raised areas that I inserted clay and some textures in. And we're going to let that dry. Give another view of the crest area of this heart shape. There we go. So that's about it for today's very brief session. Again, this is merely a test session. Later on, when Agoradays gets off the ground, which is a company in Sunnyvale, these things will be done much more commercially. Anyway, this is sort of the end of the session, and I wish you a very good night tonight. And hopefully things won't be too cold. It's been getting cold here in Newark. And that, God bless, please take care.